Welcome to my new course, Project Schedule Management. Project Schedule Management includes the processes required to manage the timely completion of the project. You will study in this course around 6 processes: plan schedule management, define activities, sequence activities, estimate activity duration, develop schedule, and control schedule. As you have studied so far in last semester, project scope management course, where we talk about in detail about project management plan, about project charter, direct and manage project work, executing and control work, project knowledge, and closing the project. And then we studied collect requirement process group, where we produce two documents: requirement documentation and requirement traceability matrix. Next step is to take your documentation and summarize your work into project scope statement in define scope process group. And third step was to take your scope statement, your requirement documentation, and decompose your project, graphically explain your project in the shape of work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure is a graphical representation of your project from top to down. So we have completed these processes. Next step in schedule management plan is that the prerequisite of project schedule management is that you have completed your requirement documentation, your requirement traceability matrix, requirement documentation, traceability matrix, work breakdown structure dictionary, and obviously project scope statement. So in project schedule management, you need scope baseline, which contains 3 documents: scope statement, work breakdown structure, and work breakdown structure dictionary. So in this course, we will talk about 6 processes: plan schedule management, the process of establishing the policies, procedures, and documenting for planning, developing, managing, executing, and controlling the project schedule. In define activities, what we do, we take scope baseline, that is scope statement, WBS and WBS dictionary, and we further decompose our work into work packages into more smaller components called activities. So the process of identifying and documenting the specific actions to be performed to produce the project deliverables. In sequence activities, the process of identifying and documenting relationship among the project activities. For instance, you have decomposed your work package into more smaller components, and you have identified 20 activities. So which activity will be started first and which will be followed next one? So obviously here in sequence activities, we sequence our activities and we produce network diagram. In estimate activity duration, we estimate the number of days required for the activity. The process for estimating the number of work periods needed to complete individual activities with the estimated resources. In develop schedule, we produce our schedule date wise, calendar wise. So the process of analyzing activity sequence, duration, resource requirements, and schedule constraints to create the project schedule model for execution and monitoring and controlling. And then in control schedule, that is a part of monitoring and controlling process group, we control our schedule basically. So let's talk about my next slide. Why plan a project? To eliminate or reduce uncertainty. Uncertainty is an unknown risk. So obviously, therefore, we plan our project to eliminate or reduce uncertainty, to improve efficiency of the operations, to obtain a better understanding of objectives, to provide basis for monitoring and controlling. Your projects cannot afford to fail. 66% of IT projects fail, come in over budget, or run past the original deadline. Every year in US, $55 billion is wasted on failed IT projects because it impacts business impacts, reduced profitability, inability to fund new project, poor customer satisfaction. Obviously, such failure causes these elements. So, why do so many projects fail to meet expectations? A lack of understanding of project management tools and over reliance on the project management software. Like, this is a big misconception among different people, that if you learn MS Project software or Primavera software, there is no need to learn any kind of project management tools, because these softwares can do everything in project management. Ask such people whether your project software can develop a project charter. Either can software can gather requirements from the stakeholders. If there's a conflict in team members, can that software resolve the conflicts? Obviously not. So a lack of understanding in project management tools is there, and they only depend on the project management software. Another thing is communication problems. According to PMI, a project manager spends his 90% time in communicating with the project sponsor, with the stakeholder, with the customer, with project team members, and obviously functional managers as well. And third one is failure to adequately adjust to changes that occur during the course of the project. Obviously, when you will fall in executing process group, there will be changes coming. On your very first day, you will listen to one thing. This is not going to do what I stated earlier. So kindly make a change. So you will face changes and you will have to manage changes. So since there are two types of changes, pitching a change and catching a change, we have talked about in detail about pitching a change and catching a change, but we will cover those topics in scope management course. So always remember, failure to adequately adjust to changes that occur during the course of the project. If you do not address the proper change request well on time, you will face difficulty. Always remember. Important tips. If you fail to plan, you will fail to do. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Don't overplan and don't underplan. Don't give too much time to your planning process group so that you feel difficulty to complete your project deliverables. Next thing is output of planning is project schedule, and document, distribute and maintain the plan. So schedule management plan is first process of project schedule management. If you recall my lecture, what we talk about, your first step is to develop project charter. Next step is to develop management plan. And project management plan contains all management plan like scope management plan, schedule management plan, cost management plan, quality management plan, resource management plan, communication management plan, risk management plan, procurement management plan, and stakeholder engagement, for instance. So these are all management plans. So the schedule management plan is a part of project management plan. It specifies how the project schedule will be developed, monitored and controlled. Planning how to manage schedule can include at least who will be involved, what approach we will take the plan to schedule for the project, what organizational process and procedures will I use to create a schedule, and how will I effectively manage and control the schedule to the schedule baseline and manage schedule variances. The schedule management plan contains schedule methodology, for example, critical chain method, critical path method. What will be our methodology in project schedule management? You will learn all these things in detail, don't worry. Scheduling tools, which softwares we will use, level of accuracy, that is progressive elaboration, unit of measures, dates and months, variance threshold, activity on time, preventive actions, schedule reporting, activity description, activity sequencing, estimating resources, efforts and duration, updating, managing and controlling. So these are the elements of a schedule management plan. But basically, it answers these questions: who will be involved, what approach we will take to plan the schedule for the project, what organizational processes and procedures will I use to create the schedule. Basically, in this document we specify this thing, that you have, for example, 6 processes related to project schedule management. How many processes you are going to use for this project? We have dozens of tools and techniques, like in define activities, sequence activities, estimate activity duration, develop schedule and control schedule. How many tool and techniques out of total number of tool and techniques related to project schedule management we are going to use in this project? So schedule management plan documents such things. Who will work on, for instance, who will take work breakdown structure, and who will further decompose your work breakdown structure into more manageable, more smaller components. So it answers such questions. I will record my lectures in detail and I'll be uploading on my YouTube channel. Please stay tuned. Thank you.